Hey there, everyone. This is Dave Dubeau with another episode of the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. And today it is my pleasure to be chatting with Karen Briscoe. And Karen is a very, very accomplished realtor. She's also a real estate investor herself. She's got several single-family homes in her portfolio, as well as she invests in shopping plazas. I believe that's what you're investing in. And what I'm really interested in talking with Karen about is her whole concept of how we can better manage our time, because she's become very, very good and very well known at that. In fact, she's got her own podcast all around that. So, Karen, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Dave. And I'm a big fan of profits when it comes to property investing. So I love the title of your podcast.
Well, thank you very much. So, Karen, why don't we just start at the beginning and let us know how you got into this whole crazy world of real estate investing in the first place and becoming a realtor?
So, started out actually in commercial real estate out of college and was a developer, and then entered the residential side sometime later, because I actually found that parts of the commercial real estate, believe it or not, were actually kind of boring because it's very repetitive if you're in the area of the industry that I was in. And I like the relationships. I like the people.
Nice.
So the residential side gave me what I call the hard and soft side of real estate. The hard side being the financial and the structuring deals and negotiation, and the soft side are the relationships. So it really was a good fit. Met with success pretty rapidly. You mentioned, how did I come about the 5-minute success? What I found is when you become successful rapidly, people want to know how you do it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would share my story, and people would say they wanted to achieve a higher level success, and yet they felt like they never had enough time. And time is actually a created thing. It's a man-made construct. And so saying you don't have enough time is like saying you don't want to. So I'm like, okay, so can you invest 5 minutes a day? Everybody said they could do 5 minutes a day. So that's where the 5-minute success came in. And it's actually known as Parkinson's Law. So limiting and restricting time can actually make us more efficient and effective.
So explain that, flesh that out a little bit for us, if you would, Karen. So you mean restricting time, giving yourselves a deadline? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Or limiting the amount of time you're going to do something, because saying you're going to work on personal business development is a very wide open expanse, right? Yeah, and so it always tends to get put off to, okay, I'll do that when whatever, this happens, that happens, I have more time, which is like, again, back to, okay, everybody has the same amount of time, so some people figure it out. And what I've discovered is that one of the tools in habit formation and success is figuring this out. Because if we all have the same amount of time, why are some people achieving at a higher level than others?
Right, yeah.
So one way to jumpstart or get people into productivity is to limiting and restricting the amount of time you do something. So then the idea, I don't have enough time, goes away. So that's where the idea of 5-minute success. So investing 5 minutes a day into something that is personal or business development, then what happens often, people don't realize is that you'll start experiencing the benefits of it, and then that will cause you want to do more. It could also just be that is enough, right, to jumpstart success. And it can have either a domino or a snowball effect. Sometimes it's a domino. Sometimes it sets off a chain of events. Sometimes it's like it builds. And you're like, oh, that principle, yeah, builds on this principle, builds on this principle. And so just like, everybody starts with one, right? If it's for property. So how are you going to do it? Are you going to do it like a domino effect? Are you going to build on it like?
So what? Did you stumble across this, or how did you figure this out yourself? And how do you remember first applying this 5-minute rule to your own life and your own business?
So habit formation is something that's been studied by a lot of people. There's a lot of great research on it. So I just spent a lot of time trying to understand why some people are successful and other people aren't. And also people would say, well, how did you become successful? And I kind of broke it down, and I was like, oh, well, I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, and I did this. And then those things are repeatable. So anything that's repeatable then can be systematized. You can create
Right.
leverage off of it, right?
Right.
So what I found is there's really 3 core principles and then 1 overarching. The first one is commit to get leads. So every business or enterprise, entrepreneur, sales all starts with a lead, even investing, right? So it all starts with a lead. And the idea that everybody is in the lead generation business is a key aspect, and it has to be done, or not has to be. The most successful people do it consistently.
Yes.
So setting up those systems is the first component of 5-minute success.
So what would be an example? If you don't, sorry for jumping in, but
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because
What would be an example?
definitely applies to what folks are
We're
looking
doing here.
for. So let's say people are looking to generate leads around investors, and they don't have a clue, but yeah, they'll give it 5 minutes. Where could they get started with the 5 minutes?
So the first thing to do is to go back and look and see what's worked before.
Okay.
So whatever has worked for you before or other people before is the best place to start. Reinventing wheels is not really a great strategy if you're doing it your first time, okay? You can get creative later. In the beginning, it's usually best to find a proven strategy and follow it. So start there and then commit to a certain number that you're going to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is that you will commit to. And the reason why I say number as opposed to time again is a human construct, and people tend to fiddle it away. They say I'm going to do it, and then that just doesn't happen. It's much easier to hold accountable. I'm going to contact 5 for sale by owners today, or I'm going to contact 5 people that have in the tax record an address that is not, the owner occupied address, or whatever it is your strategy, or I'm going to contact 5 realtors today, or you're going to do 5, I believe in 5 a day, but if that's too much, do 1 a day, whatever you'll commit to, and build that into your schedule and commit to that. And it does a lot of things. Tracking is one of the most proven ways of success. And by tracking your business development, lead generation, your investment leads that you're tracking, you will then start to see patterns of success, where your best leads come from, where your best opportunities come from, what you can convert the easiest. So that's the next component actually is the consult to seller conversion. So everybody who's successful converts something sometime, right? That makes money. If you just lead generate all day long, you will eventually not have a business, because you have to get that business through the pipeline.
Right.
Right. And so that is the next component of the 5-minute success. So there's lots of principles and strategies to conversion and consulting, and you've probably covered many of them on your podcast. So I'm not going to cover those. I'm just going to say, remember that there still has to be a conversion in here, right? And then the next component is connect to build and grow. Because what I see happen with a lot of people in these kind of areas is that they get a lead, or they get an opportunity, or they get a deal, or they get an investment property, and then they get it in place, or they convert it, and then they wake up and do it all over again. And it's always like this hamster wheel. You're only as good as your next deal. It's just very transactional.
Yeah.
So the people who go beyond that and create sustainable, ongoing, scalable enterprises, they put into the principles into effect what I call connect, build, and grow. And that's leverage, that's working on the business rather than just in the business. And this happens a lot of times with small operators and mom and pop shops, is they just never get off that hamster wheel. And so be always thinking about that, investing 5 minutes a day into figuring that component out for your business. And then overarching all of that is what I call the principles of success, thinking, activities, and vision. So those are vision is obviously, where do you want this to go? If you could create your plan for your investment, where do you want it to go? Where do you see it? Maybe 5 years is too far to look out, but look out and then look back and see where you come from and see where you're going. Then think about how you're going to get there, and then put the activities into place. And people who do that, then they start to achieve a higher level of success. So doing those components, you can invest 5 minutes a day in each one of them. You can invest 5 minutes a day in one of them, and then, just constantly be working through them. But the people that scale and achieve at a high level, they're all doing those components.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. And I don't know if you find this, Karen, but I definitely don't do it as well structured as what you're suggesting, but I have done something kind of along those lines. And, especially if it's something new or something you're kind of not looking forward to, starting with that 5 minute chunk is a really good way to, not try to eat the whole elephant all at once. You just take a little bite. And then what I find is once I get started, it's usually nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be in the first place. And then that 5 minutes might turn into 10, 15, whatever. It's the whole beauty of getting started. At least that's been my experience. Do you find that as well?
Absolutely. That is one of the aspects to habit formation that a lot of research has been done on. It's the same reason why they say just go to the gym and say you're going to go 5 minutes, right? Or just go for a 5 minute run or a walk or whatever. Just start. Yeah. Because this is where a lot of people become paralyzed, or they get easily distracted or off track. And so what people often don't realize is the impact that could be made just doing the stairs instead of the elevator. I mean, that's 5 minutes. Yeah. And so it's the same kind of concept. And then oftentimes it will, first of all, you'll see the benefit of it, like you said, and you'll want to do more. Mm. And the more, obviously, you do working on core principles, because what happens is so many people, particularly if, it's your first, you just have a few investments and you get stuck in the weeds, right? Yeah. And you're like so deep in the weeds. There needs to be time invested in these principles that will help you then go beyond that. And that's why people listen to podcasts such as yours, right? Because they know that other people have done it before, and they know that there are ways to do it better. And so I'm just showing a way that you can structure it into your business and life so that then you can go to that next level.
Very good. Karen, let's switch gears just for a second, because I want to definitely take advantage of your experience with real estate and being a realtor. And I'm sure you've probably worked with quite a few investors as clients for the years, have you? Yeah. So one of the questions I get sometimes from relatively new real estate investors is, how do I find a good realtor to help me with my investment property? So I'd like you to give your take on that from two perspectives. A, as understanding where they're coming from, but B, also explaining what they need to bring to the table in order for a professional realtor like yourself to actually take them seriously and want to bring them on as a client.
Well, those are a lot of great questions. So to look for somebody who actually invests themselves, it's just like anything. It's like, would you really go to a workout with a trainer who is fat? I mean, it really is, counterintuitive. So if they're not investing themselves, they don't believe in it, and they haven't actually gone through what is involved. And so I would look first for other investors, because they're going to, and they may also probably have a bigger network of opportunities that they know other investors are passing on for whatever reason. It's, they just bought something and so they're not ready or whatever, and they may have more of a strategy. The other thing that I look for myself, but I would say if I was going into another market, is I would look for people that have really, really strong market knowledge. And I know there's a lot of information available. I'm looking for people that can read that information and glean out of it to discern what you really need to know, because it's almost information overload. Yeah. And when I look for strategy, I'm looking for where the market's going. I mean, everybody can already figure out when it's already there, right? That's fish in a bucket. So you want to know people that can understand market fundamentals of where trends are happening and where it's going, so that and so that's something that I would look for if I was moving into another or going into another market area and I wanted to find a realtor or professional. And then what the investor can do is be ready.
Yeah.
So I find
because it must be annoying as heck having newbie investors that just went to a seminar, wasting your time and then never pulling a trigger, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never look at working with a client as wasting my time because I always learn something. I grow and become better than before. So I always look at it as an opportunity. At the same time, though, it's not going to benefit them. So the more prepared they are, and sometimes people become accidental investors. Mm-hmm. And that happens most frequently when people are left with a property and they're like, okay, but I could always just rent it out. And so that happens frequently. The other accidental investor are sometimes 1031 exchange people, and they get stuck in a time crunch. So if you think that's something that you're going to consider, I would spend more time up front researching your options before you get into the time crunch of identifying your properties. So I would spend the time as soon as possible with an agent that can help you get prepared and help you make decisions about which market areas you want to be in, which type of property class you want to be in, what all your financial ducks in a row and everything, so that when you do find it, because this is what happens is people find it and then they go, oops, so you miss opportunities.
Right.
And the other thing I would say is I find that most people wait too long. It's the whole, oh my gosh, I should have bought an 09. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, right. We all know that. So the idea is sometimes is people are like, oh, I'll wait till everything gets, all the stars align and everything. And I'm a firm believer in the I think it's a Japanese philosophy. What was the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago? That was the best time to buy real estate. So I'm a firm believer there's always good value. We just have to.
And now's the second best time.
And now's the second best time, yes, because 20 years from now, you will look back and go, wow, it's a good thing I bought it in 2019 or whatever, right?
All right. Perfect, Karen. So I know you've got a lot of resources. If people want to find out more about you and your whole 5-minute success concept, what should they do?
So the website, and it's the number 5-minute success, and that has great resources. We do have a 7-day quick start if you want to just put some 7 days into your 5-minute success and get it going and jumpstart it. And we have the podcast, as you mentioned, the 5-minute success podcast. It has a lot of great real estate as well as other industries that are what I call ancillary that can help fine tune and hone in the 5-minute principles. And then, of course, the other social media, Facebook and that kind of thing.
Awesome. Very good. Karen, thank you very much for your time and your experience today. I really appreciate it.
Well, it was great to be here, and I always love to talk about real estate.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And everybody, take care, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Well, thanks very much for checking out the Property Profits podcast. And if you like what we're doing here, please head on over to iTunes, subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. Be very, very much appreciated. And if you're looking to create a regular flow of inbound investor inquiries about your real estate deals, then I invite you to attend one of my upcoming live online demonstrations. And you can check that out at investorattractiondemo.com. Take care.